pilot managed to relay a message even in that chaos. That's true, sir. And we should wait for the inquiry.
The pilot maintained his calm. He did not panic. That pilot experienced loss of thrust.
Just 30 seconds. That's all the time it took for Air India Flight AI-171 to go from takeoff to tragedy. A Boeing 787, built to survive lightning strikes and engine loss, crashed into the heart of Ahmedabad, killing 274 people. Officials blamed flap misconfigurations. Engineers pointed at old actuator logs. But survivors said the power vanished midair, and the emergency turbine deployed before the jet even turned. This wasn't just a crash. It was a total systems failure, mechanical, human, institutional. And it exposed a terrifying truth. Even the safest plane in the world can fall if just one switch moves at the wrong second. Let's go back to the first moments. Because buried in the timeline is everything. 1:25 p.m., pre-flight check signed off. 1:30, pushback. 1:33, tower clears Flight AI-171 for departure. 35 seconds later, a Dreamliner that should have been climbing toward cruising altitude is instead knifing back toward Ahmedabad's crowded Nagar district. Airport workers stare, frozen, as the jet's wings stay eerily rigid. No reassuring flex, no visible lift. Inside the cockpit, a startled crew calls mayday, reporting a sudden loss of thrust while the ground still echoes with takeoff roll. 2 seconds after that call, the landing gear never retracted. The flaps already suspect. The aircraft pitches hard, stalls, and smashes through the roof of a medical college hostel. Fireballs roar across dorm corridors. Aviation's safest widebody has become a low-altitude missile. Rescue sirens collide with panic shouts as first responders sprint through monsoon heat thick with burning jet fuel. DNA kits are rushed in, morgues overflow, and families line school gymnasiums clutching photographs, desperate for a match. It is here, amid the tangled aluminum and charred textbooks, that one brutal fact takes shape. A single configuration slip, or an undetected fault, can override every redundant system Boeing engineers ever conceived. If that realization rattles you as much as it does me, tap the like button now. Together we'll demand answers before another routine departure turns into an obituary. His fingers were still blistered when investigators asked what he saw. Vishwash Kumar Romesh, seat 11A, remembers the left wall imploding, daylight slashing through the fuselage, and a wind so fierce it tore the door clean off. He scrambled through sparks and burning jet fuel, tumbling 2 stories onto cracked asphalt, alive, shaken, and the only eyewitness to the cockpit's final seconds. Romesh swears the engines coughed twice, then went stone silent, like someone yanked the power cord. That single clue matters. When crews sifted the wreckage, they found the ram air turbine fully deployed beneath the belly, its small propeller twisted, proof the jet had lost all engine-driven power and hydraulic pressure long before impact. By design, that backup buys minutes, yet Flight AI-171 had only seconds. With debris still smoking, investigators rushed the 2 black boxes to a forensic lab in New Delhi. Locked inside are 150 streams of data, flap angles, thrust settings, elevator trim, and every strained word uttered after the mayday. Crack those files, and we'll learn whether a human hand retracted lift, a rogue sensor lied, or twin engines quit in eerie unison. Until then, anyone stepping onto a Dreamliner boards on faith alone, and faith has a brutal failure rate. Long before impact, the first mistake may have already been made. Aviation experts now believe the co-pilot might have accidentally retracted the flaps instead of the landing gear, a fatal swap of switches just seconds after liftoff. Those flaps, critical for generating lift during takeoff, should have stayed extended until the jet gained safe altitude. But eyewitnesses and satellite footage confirmed something alarming. The wings never curved under stress. They stayed rigid, flat, suggesting the lift was gone before the aircraft cleared 600 feet. The question is why? Investigators turned to maintenance logs and found something unsettling. The left wing flap actuator had been serviced just weeks before the crash. But the quality control sign-off delayed by a full week due to parts shortages. A minor paperwork issue, perhaps, but in aviation, minor doesn't exist. If the sensor feedback was misaligned, the cockpit may have shown the wrong flap status entirely. And here's the twist. Boeing 787s had flown over 7 million hours without a single hull loss before that day. That sterling record is now shattered. Boeing shares fell nearly 9% in the aftermath. GE Aerospace, which supplied the GNX engines, faces mounting scrutiny. One misstep, mechanical or human, took down a flagship of modern aviation. And it's forcing the entire world to re-examine how much safety we're actually flying with, and how much is just luck. In a sealed facility in New Delhi, 2 black boxes, scarred but intact, are being decoded frame by frame. Investigators are pulling every detail: flap and slant angles, throttle settings, autopilot status, cockpit audio. They're listening for panic, confusion, or sudden silence. And early signs point to something deeply troubling. Both the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder show a flurry of inputs within the first 15 seconds after takeoff, followed by rapid altitude loss. That suggests a configuration error, or worse, a loss of thrust from both engines. What's more chilling? The RAT, an emergency power turbine only triggered when everything else fails, was deployed. That means the plane didn't just stall. It may have already been in electrical and hydraulic freefall before it ever nosed over. India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is now working alongside the NTSB and the UK's AAIB under international aviation law. The mission: reconstruct the final 30 seconds of AI 171 second by second. Boeing and GE have dispatched teams to assist, but no one's offering theories, just silence. Meanwhile, the aviation world holds its breath. Because if these boxes confirm that a flap misread or an actuator malfunction mimicked a normal takeoff, then every Dreamliner in the sky carries a ghost of AI 171 inside it. And this investigation isn't about blame anymore. It's about whether trust in automation has finally outpaced our ability to control it. Weeks after the crash, the shock has curdled into something colder: distrust. Passenger bookings on 787 to 8 Dreamliners across Asia have plunged. Surveys show a sharp decline in consumer confidence, even for airlines untouched by the tragedy. Air India, already bruised by years of delays and complaints, now finds itself buried under lawsuits. International families, British, Portuguese, Canadian, are forming legal coalitions, accusing the airline of negligence and demanding transnational compensation. But the damage isn't just legal or emotional. It's institutional. India's aviation watchdog launched Operation Double Check, dispatching surprise auditors to maintenance hangars nationwide. What they found sent shivers through the industry: expired fluid analyses, missing sign-offs, overlooked service bulletins. Individually, each lapse seemed minor. But together, they painted a picture of systemic complacency, one that may have greased the path to AI 171's fall. In response, pilot training programs are being overhauled. Simulation hours are increasing. Cadets now drill on automation confusion scenarios, learning to identify misconfigured settings without relying solely on screen readouts. And across Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, quiet memorials bloom. Candles, names etched into stone. Because this wasn't just a crash. It was a breakdown of oversight, of systems, of trust. And no public apology or payout can scrub away the fear that next time, the mistake won't happen in India. It could happen anywhere. In the end, Flight AI 171 didn't fall because of weather, sabotage, or enemy action. It fell because something human, mechanical, or both went wrong in a moment too short to fix. A flap moved too early. A warning came too late. And in just 30 seconds, 274 lives vanished beneath a sky that offered no mercy. This wasn't just a crash, it was a warning shot across the entire aviation industry. A reminder that even in our most advanced machines, one small error can undo millions of hours of safety. And when pilots trust systems that quietly fail, there's no second chance. So now we wait for answers, for reforms, for justice. But for those left behind, waiting is all they've done. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.